everyone. We are back with Bike Chat, and we have a very important one today. The last Bike Chat we were speaking with Mel Aquino about teaching people how to ride motorcycles in the dirt and off the road. That was quite well received. And from there, we started talking about who was supporting him, which was the Yamaha Motorcycle Company. We are big fans of constant education in motorcycle riding. From there, from the discussion with Mel, we ended up talking about Yamaha. We have some soft spots in our hearts for Yamaha. The Yamaha RZ350 was the first motorcycle I ever bought and rode in the rain and snow and sun. So we're big fans of Yamaha. Today we have with us the president of Yamaha Motors Philippines, Mr. Hiroshi Koike. He is here with us today. He has graced us to explain to us what he's doing here, what he likes to ride, and how the world is going. We also have the Bike Chat team, Bike Talk team. We have Maynard, we have Telly, and we have Paulo. Telly and Maynard are familiar with everyone because they are our bike guys. Paulo has yet to be on a motorcycle, so he is interested because we're going to send him to Mel's school and see how he rides. I'm going to go myself because I want to ride again. So Hiro-san, thank you very, very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a great honor.
Our pleasure. First, thank you so much for supporting the riding education programs in the Philippines. We think it's very important that people keep on learning, and it is wonderful that you are providing the motorcycles for Mel Aquino and the guys to teach everyone from us to little kids how to ride. So thank you so much for that.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
So we were talking a while ago with Hiro-san, and he was saying that he's actually just been in the Philippines for a little over a year. So it's been a very interesting year. When did you arrive in Manila, sir?
April 2019, last year.
Okay, so you've basically hit the ground running, but you are a rider. You were telling us that you actually ride motorcycles.
Yes.
Is there any particular kind of riding that you do?
Mostly, I like to travel. So especially when I was a university student, every summer long break, I would go to, there's a big island up north in Japan called Hokkaido.
Okay.
And I would go there for probably about a month, traveling all over the place. So exploring new area and so on. That's what I like to do.
Okay. When you were doing that, were you riding by yourself or were you riding with a group?
There was one time I went riding together with my friend, but I found it's much easier going there alone because usually I don't plan my trips. I just go there, I check the weather forecast and try to stay away from the rain and so on.
Okay, that makes sense. Do you ride in the Philippines?
Not often. It's only last year I did some riding together with some of our dealers in Davao area, but that's about it.
It's supposed to be beautiful to ride down there. People have actually invited me to ride in Davao because they say it's just wonderful.
Yeah, it's been good, but because they had a very heavy rain the day before, some of the area was very muddy and so on. So we did finish a little bit earlier than what we've scheduled, but it was really enjoyable, and also for me, it really takes out a stress when I ride. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I haven't ridden in a very long time, but I really, really used to love going off by myself and riding in my little 2-stroke motorcycle, and I loved it. So what did you ride in Davao? What motorcycles were you using?
MT10.
Oh, the MT10. Okay, yeah. That's okay. Well, that's a nice bike.
I love that bike.
Yeah.
It's really nice, yeah.
Oh, someone was asking me. Someone is in love with it. What's your adventure bike, the Tenere?
Tenere 700.
Yeah, they were just curious. Is that something that's still is that in development? Are they still going to be doing something like that?
It's already sold in Europe and so on, and it just it's I cannot tell you when, but soon we'll consider trying to bring that into Philippines as well.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so so you arrived mid last year, and by February and March, it was getting very interesting in this country, and you're suddenly faced with handling your organization and your dealers and your customers in a time when it's very challenging because of the whole COVID-19 pandemic. How has that been for you? What have you done to handle things?
Well, the biggest thing first was of course, the lockdown that we faced, and uh, while we're not be able to operate the business, one thing that I had to focus was how to really look after our employees,
Mhm.
especially on the payroll side. So what I've done is one is try to shift the working days from other months and try to have more non-working days during lockdown to
Okay.
minimize the effect on our employees' payroll. And also, I've given about a week extra of paid leave as well.
Mhm.
So that was the first thing. And so later on, as gradually the ECQ became MECQ and so on, when we start to resume, another thing would be how to really ensure the safety of our employees. So
Mhm.
while we follow the government's guideline, but also try to limit the number of people working in the office. Whoever can work from home, we try to insist them work more from home. And also, we're putting a lot of different protocols in place, which is pretty much similar to, I guess, all the other
Mhm.
companies. So yeah, it's more of not only keep the business running, but because I believe people are the most important asset to the company.
So, have you been able to open up all of your dealerships again?
No, yes. Of course, sometimes depending on the area, the regulation, like they sometimes go back to ECQ. So sometimes
Yes.
they need to close them once in a while. But basically,
Mhm.
yes, all the area nationwide is open now.
Are you? One of the things we're finding with the car industry is that there are people walking in and they're looking at buying new vehicles because they can't rely on public transportation. How is that with the motorcycle industry and with Yamaha in particular? What are you seeing?
Of course, we believe there are several people who's looking motorbike as, I guess, a better alternative compared to all the other public transportation and so on. So that's been happening. Even I guess before this COVID situation, people who has a car also were looking
Yes.
motorbike as another option because of the
Yes.
coding and also the heavy traffic and so on.
Hmm.
And also comparing to other Asian country, what we look at is what we call the ownership ratio. So, like say in Indonesia, every one bike is sold to about 5 people. Like Taiwan, it's every one bike is sold to every 2 people. Whereas in Philippines, still, as of last year, every one bike is sold to every 12 people, which also tells us it's we still much more bigger potential to grow.
Yeah, you have a lot of potential then.
Yeah. So, but I believe this COVID situation will gradually accelerate that ownership ratio. So people, I think more people will start buying a motorcycle as part of their personal mobility.
Yeah, yeah, we were talking about that because one of the discussions we had was, and we actually had this with Paulo. What happens when you want to learn, right? And all of a sudden, there are people who are looking at motorcycles as a viable alternative to everyday transportation. Are there any? We know that you support the program with Mel Aquino for off road riding. Other programs that you do, or is it primarily? I mean, how do you? If someone walks into your shop and knows nothing about motorcycles, what do you suggest they do? Do you send them anywhere?
Yeah. There is a
Are there
thing
any
which we
programs you
call
have?
the yeah. There's something that what we call Yamaha Safe Riding Science Program, which really focuses on not only the technique of the riding, but what to be cautious when you go on a public road. So,
Mhm.
because we believe the safety riding is really important factor. So, in order for people to really enjoy their life with a motorcycle. So
Mhm.
that's we've been doing for many years, and we'll still continue to do so.
Okay. Is that a program that they Is that something they attend, or is it information you give them? Is it something they do online?
In the past, it's been more on where they attend and where we teach them physically. But as you have mentioned, because of this COVID situation, now it's more of we're shifting towards online at this moment. But in reality, what's really good is not in a hybrid way, which they can get the information online. But I think it's really important that they physically experience and understand all the technique that's needed on public road as well.
Okay. So basically, if someone walks into your one of your dealers, can they walk out with all the equipment and all the gear they need?
It depends. Of course, the all of our shop has those gear. So if they're for the first time, of course, we assist them to buy all the necessary gears. And also, right now, we're running helmet promo, which offering Yamaha logo printed helmet for those new buyers as well. But of course, sometimes you see people who already have a gears.
Okay.
So it's not like coming in a set. It's really up to the customer to buy it.
Okay. Because we're finding a lot of people who never considered motorcycles are actually now thinking about them. They're usually thinking about, well, underbones or scooters or so on. But yeah. Now, Maynard was telling me you guys have set up an app.
Yes.
What's that about? And how does it help motorcycle riders?
It's an app called Red Buddy, and they're more focusing on how to help the customer, especially on the trying to search for the bike they want. So they through the app they can find which Yamaha shop has those stock at the moment, and also right now we're trying to have people use it for buying spare parts. Also service online. So try to have more indirect procedures by using this app.
Okay, so this is not just for buying your motorcycle; it's also for maintaining it, for buying the equipment. But would this tell you, let's say, if you got this app and you didn't have a motorcycle yet, is this something that could help you decide on your motorcycle?
At this moment, we're more focused on trying to assist the customer who already has a motorcycle. But I guess what you brought up is a nice idea. It's something that we continuously need to develop and make it user-friendly in the future. So yeah, going to buy into that idea and try to put that in for everybody for the future.
Mm-hmm. Because what we're finding now, partly in the cars as well, is that people just want almost a one-stop solution. Where they want to be able to go online, get information and so on, and sometimes almost make the purchase online. Then they just go to the shop or whatever and finalize everything and get all their stuff. So that's quite interesting. Now, Maynard was telling me you have a new brand campaign. Can you tell us a little about that?
Well, first of all, we are still continuing what we call the brand campaign. But on top of that, what we're doing new is campaign what we call the new way to move. So with this COVID situation, but try to recommend to the customers that motorcycle is one of the safer choice when you think about the COVID situation and so on. So because our philosophy has always been trying to support the lifestyle of every Filipino people. And with this situation, I think there's now even a bigger benefit for each customer. Is really the value that our motorcycle can provide. So really trying to, emphasize and have people be aware that there's another choice for transportation. So that's what this campaign is all about.
Well, Yamaha as a company has been around for what now, 65 years. And you just had an anniversary that I guess no one could celebrate. So what given all that, what are you planning on doing for the rest of the year?
Well, rest of the year, honestly speaking, because we market is right now flowing much better than what we forecasted, and we're pretty much lacking in stock. So it's more of the focus is try to catch up with the demand because, of course, we want to provide our product to the customer who are looking for it. But not only that, it is our obligation and responsibility to look after the business of our dealers as well. So that will be the main focus. But of course, while really looking after the safety over it. Well, that'll be our main for the rest of it.
So you were saying that right now Yamaha is in a situation where there's more demand than there is supply. How is this compared to what you forecast for this year without the whole COVID situation? Are you finding demand is higher than you expected?
What we've targeted the beginning of the year, of course, the total market is far much down. As of August, I think the total industry is about 40% down compared to last year.
Mm-hmm.
But during the lockdown, we have forecasted things can be even worse.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and of course, we had to close the factory and so on. So, sort of how to say, pressed on the brake, and I guess that was a little bit harder than what we actually imagined.
Mm-hmm.
Still, when you compare against last year, it's flowing much less, but I think the market is coming back faster than what we forecasted.
Yes, we've actually just gone through some similar discussions with the automotive industry, and what they're saying is that they obviously had a big, if you graph it, they had a big drop, but they're also getting a fairly steep return. And towards the end of the year, they're expecting to actually come close to, if not reach, the full year results that they expected last year. Do you see that with motorcycles?
It's difficult to say. But one of the reasons why it's been steep coming back around end of June and beginning of July is what I believe is some of the people who are planning to buy anyway during the lockdown, I think all of a sudden came all at once. That's one thing. And what makes it difficult is because I believe some of the money sent through OFW is also a big factor.
Yes.
Especially coming to the year end. And right now, I do not see much positive factors when I look at from such point of view. But I think compared to a few months ago, I think it was much more negative forecast, and I think the negative factor can be very minimal. But still have a doubt whether the market will really come back before the COVID situation. I think while we are still under GCQ, I think there's some limitation.
Okay. Okay. Well, I hope it all wraps up soon. Getting back to the fun part, the motorcycle part. If all this clears up, where would you like to ride? What is it you want to get onto, and where would you like to go?
It's difficult to say, but of course, it's only been a little bit more than a year since I've been here in the Philippines. So I would like to really seek and explore some of the Philippines, especially more on the rural areas. So I'm sure when things normalize, riding bike within Metro Manila, I don't think it would be fun.
Yeah, I used to ride when I was in college, and that's how I would get to school, and I would take my weekend breaks. But I find it a bit more stressful riding in Metro Manila, and so I would rather ride outside. But what's of your lineup right now? What's your favorite motorcycle? Which is the one you like the most?
In terms of my riding experience, top two would be either MT10 or TMAX.
Okay.
If I just go ignore the riding side and go look at the design wise, probably XSR 700 would be my favorite choice just on the looks. But, especially riding MT10 because when I was in Japan, I used to own FZ1000 Phaser, which is predecessor of the MT10. And when I experienced MT10 is much lighter, much more powerful. So it's enjoyable. I guess it's just that because I'm starting to getting old, probably less adrenaline is what I'm looking for nowadays.
Okay. So you're shifting over to more comfortable bikes, would you say?
I guess so in terms of riding, yeah. It's difficult to say. Of course, being the Yamaha president, I'm a fan of all bikes. If I was like those bikes I just named, be one of my favorite choices.
Okay. I'm sharing this just because I want to. This is my first ever motorcycle.
Oh, really nice.
Yeah, that was That was my RZ350 I used in college, and I rode in the sun, in the rain, and the snow just to get to school. So I'm a big fan of Yamaha. So
Yeah,
um,
I don't think this may not be a right thing to say, but really miss the smell of those two strokes.
I know they do. They're great.
Yeah.
And we were talking because Maynard also had an RZ250,
Ah,
and
Yeah.
uh,
My favorite bike.
they're these great light type bikes. All my friends rode big bikes. They rode the big Yamahas, the big Hondas, and so on. But I was always more inclined towards these small light bikes. I would pack with a little bit of gear and go out for the weekend. Yeah. Have you ever done the class of Mel Aquino, or have you ever gone off roading there?
no, no, not yet, not yet. So hopefully, sometime soon. Yeah, I would like to go there.
Well, we were speaking with him because we want to do the same thing, and we were trying to arrange a time. And he's actually saying that he said he's surprised that there's a lot of people that want to do it now because they just want to do something. And motorcycling is actually fairly, it can be fairly solitary. You're fairly protected in terms of the whole germs and COVID issue. You've got your helmet on, so you're as safe as you want to be. Uh, So we actually all want to get together, get Paulo in there on a motorcycle, get me back on a motorcycle. So if we go, we'll let you know. Maybe you can join us.
Yeah,
That was
definitely, definitely. Yeah.
So
Can I ask Mr. Hiro-san a question?
Yes, yes, please.
2 weeks ago, we attended Yamaha Safety Riding Science online. That was quite interesting because this is the first time that a company, specifically Yamaha, conducted a safety riding online class. Can you tell us more about this?
I'm sorry. What was the question? OS.
The Safety Riding Science online program.
this is an online training program you did.
Yeah.
Yes. 2 weeks ago, we attended the online class conducted by Yamaha instructors. That was quite interesting because this is the first time a riding safety webinar was conducted. Can you tell us more about this webinar?
To be honest, this is still a trial stage. It's something new because it's safety is really high priority for us, and the way it's conducted, it's really designed for different type of users because the point to would be people need to be careful for some of the technique that's needed to really changes depending on what type of rider they are. But again, it's with the motorbike, it's not something like just a phone or just a fridge which you just sell it and that's done. I think it's more of keeping relationship with the customer so they can really maximize the value out of our product is one of the important uh, philosophy behind why we do such things. And I think also it showed nowadays also our focus is to the lady rider as well, because when we talk about safety also there's some other elements that we need to consider when we think about ladies. One is of course the average wise they're a little bit smaller, and also in terms of strength wise they're a bit weaker, so also we need to teach different techniques to those people. Well, but hopefully our goal is again hopefully our product supports the lifestyle of every single Filipino people, including your ladies as well.
It's
Oh,
really
okay.
interesting.
Well, yeah. Will this be a regular program, like a monthly program for safety riding?
Yes, eventually. And again, I think ideal situation is, of course, a combination of not only web, but hopefully, if we can, put it together physically. Because I think, like, for example, many of the Japanese expats, we have tried to learn golf on YouTube. But unless you practice, you never become good. So I think having both combination is important. But we still believe also web can be a good tool if we use it wisely. So we'll continue do this activity.
Thank you, sir.
I think it's actually, well, two things surprised me. One was that your focus on female riders, you're right, they do have different issues. But we've also found that even in the last several years, several of our people in our company, the women expressed the interest in learning how to ride, and especially now, we're shifting our offices from a busy building to something smaller. So it's easier for people to get there by motorcycle. Paolo can ride to work now.
And to
And
learn.
so no, that's a really interesting point. Maybe we should look at getting everyone more access to motorcycles. It's safer. We keep them out of public transportation, which can be very stressful and dangerous. And that's a very, very good point. Um, and I also find it very interesting about doing this online at the level that you did. One thing we have found is that a lot of people are trying new things now, and they're learning it online. And then once they're able to physically go somewhere and see the equipment or whatever, then it works together. For example, if we're talking about, correct, you can't teach safety of a motorcycle online, but you could, for example, teach the importance of scanning on motorcycles, or you could teach them the importance of watching the road on motorcycles. And then when they come into the shop, you reinforce that. You teach them how to ride and so on. I think that's actually, if you put that program together, I think it'll do wonders for education as well as for sales. Actually, what else do you plan on doing I mean, given what you've done now, are you making any strategic changes in terms of next year already?
Well, in terms of development of the bike, of course, the lead time is much longer. So, but we've been planning locally. So, in terms of company-wise, last year we invested in expanding our factory, which right now the building itself is complete, but because of this COVID situation, all the different machinery is not installed yet. So this will happen next year, and because we want to increase more assembly. So at the moment, some of the bikes we assemble it here in Philippines, but some of the bikes we imported. This is what we call a CBU, which
Yes.
yeah. So we want to convert some of those CBU CKD, which is going to be assembled here.
Mhm.
So one is that way we can really adjust with the demand and hopefully shorten the lead time so people do not need to wait for our bikes, especially our bikes like NMAX and so on is really shortage of stock. Really to be flexible and keep up with the business here. That's the one of the main plan that we have at the moment.
What's the most exciting bike in your lineup right now?
Of course, it depends on how you look at it. For example, like you mentioned, some people are looking bike as more one of the alternatives for leisure and so on. This year, we have introduced the new bike called WR155, which
Mhm.
is the type of bike that you can enjoy trail riding, as well as because it's really maneuvers easily. It's also really good for commuting as well. So I hope if for people, there's people who are looking for a new type of hobby, I hope this will become a solution or one of the choices for such customers.
I can't wait to try the WR155.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Well, it's already here. I think it's more of trying to deliver to our shops now.
Thank you.
Are there any particular technologies you see, any trends you see in the motorcycle industry globally or locally that are interesting?
Well, probably this is not a news to everyone, but of course, electric motor is well, so the main topic that we've been developing and studying.
Mhm.
And I guess one of the biggest challenge is how to make it affordable for the customer while still trying to keep the performance. Because at the moment, if we want people to be able to ride long distance, similar as the current bike, the battery becomes big, the cost
Yes.
becomes big, the price becomes big. And when we try to keep the cost, the affordable level of customer, then the distance starts to become short. So we're in a dilemma there. But moving forward, I think how to really come up with a solution that's environmentally friendly to the earth is going to be biggest task that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing we're looking at is probably this is more connects with extension of red body, but how to really be able to connect this type of tool
Mm-hmm.
with the motorbike will be also another key for the future.
Okay, you mean like an integrated app that talks to you about maintenance and so on, that type of
Yes,
thing.
so something like that. Like you mentioned, I think one of the things customer value is being able to check the condition of the bikes. At
Mm-hmm.
least if you can check some of the data, I think that will also help. I think we're still under study of can we do, also what would help, and I guess one of the difficulty part will be if the customer put smartphone on their bikes. We don't want to design in a way that customer focuses onto their phone because that goes against the safety.
Yes.
So always the safety would be top priority, but while keeping it safe, how to maximize the value for the customer is another thing that we're really working on moving into the future.
Yeah, I'm sure there are more challenges on motorcycles than there are for doing this with cars. Maynard, have you got any other questions now that we have got Hiro-san?
Um, no, I just can't wait to also try the new NMAX 2020.
Yes.
Well, why are you excited about it? What do you think is special about it that you're excited?
People, riders everywhere have been waiting for that bike to arrive.
Mm-hmm.
When the first generation NMAX was launched 5 years ago, a lot of people were skeptical if it would sell because it's quite expensive and people are into underbones. But eventually, the people accepted the NMAX. Then they began selling really, really well. And in fact, Yamaha is now the number one in automatics. We can't wait to try the new NMAX. Even Telly is waiting for the NMAX because he wants to sell his Yamaha Aerox for the new. So Telly, sell me your Aerox.
I'll think about it. You're just gonna lowball me, pa. Yeah. Anyways, firstly, thank you, Main Hiro-san. Thank you. Secondly, you know what, Sir Carl, Yamaha has been also my sponsor for 4 years now. This is for the Dirty Business event. Yamaha, thank you so much for that. The event was supposedly on the first Sunday of the year, but well, now it's pandemic and all. I cannot announce anything. There may not be another event for that. Thirdly, Yamaha is doing very well. I have several. You know how I can tell, since I'm friends with some of the manufacturers. I mean parts, aftermarket parts.
Mm-hmm.
They're all telling me all of their parts are either for NMAX or Aerox. So as Maynard said, Yamaha is the number one automatic as of now. But is it safe to say that Yamaha is the fastest selling motorcycle in the country, Hiro-san?
Thank you.
He
Is it?
froze
Do you think
there.
is it the fastest selling? Is that what you would say?
Yes, sir, Carl.
You would. Okay.
Yeah,
Can I ask?
most
I'm
of the
curious
shops right
about something.
now.
The big deal about to you, the big deal about this motorcycle is the automatic transmission. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
Yes, sir, Carl.
yeah, or anyone? Because I'm just curious. I've never really ridden automatic transition motorcycles other than like scoots or something. So to me, I'm just used to the manual transmission. Why do you think this is so important? Why do you think it's different from anything before?
So sorry, was the question to me?
Oh yeah. If you can, yeah. I'm just curious as to why do you think this is being taken up now? Is it that just that much better a transmission?
Well, I think especially for the entry customer, it's much easier. Similar with cars. Now you don't see much people owning a stick shift car, but they choose automatic. So also, similar to what I've spoke a while ago. When more women and more different people are coming in, also automatic easier choice as a first bike to buy.
Okay,
But
so it's a function of the demand, not necessarily the technology, or is the technology that much better now?
technology is becoming better. So of course, when you look back 10 years ago, automatic did not exist so much.
Yeah.
But now it's becoming a mainstream, and it becomes big. Also, the demand become diversified. So there's people who's more, well, I think once customer experience, gradually they become more demanding. And it's more up to us as a manufacturer to not only be able to react to those demand, but hopefully come up with new suggestion, coming up with something new that makes customer feel, I never noticed, but that is a type of function I wanted.
Mhm.
If we are able to come up with such solution, I think that manufacturer can do well. It's the ultimate goal for the manufacturer to come up with such solution.
Mhm. What's the most interesting safety system you now see on your bikes that we didn't have 10 years ago? I mean, now we have ABS, now we have traction control. What do you think is the most interesting and most important safety feature now?
Well, of course, the ABS will still stay as one of the safety option, but I don't know whether you can call it safety. But there's a function which we call SSS, which simply, if you're stopping on a traffic light, the engine will stop for a while. This is more to be environmentally friendly to
Okay.
the but not only that, also it works to the benefit of customer, saving the fuel while they're stopping the traffic.
Okay. So it's like
And
start stop in a car.
yeah, start and stop. Yeah, and of course we are also trying to make it like visible design from the car is also, I think, important when we look at the safety.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
when it's dangerous, it's usually the case where the car driver do not recognize the motorcycle rider. So that's also, I don't know whether I can call it a function, but it's more
Well,
looking design not only to be fashionable, but also there's functionality within the design is what we're really working on.
okay. No, that's a really good point because that's one thing when we did all our motorcycle training, that was a key point. Always assume that the guy behind you isn't going to see you. So, but how do you take that into design for a motorcycle? I mean, how can you? What makes you make a motorcycle more visible in that
Well,
situation?
let's say the how the brake light is positioned, how it's designed, even the signaling indicator, how it's designed, and of course using the LED also helps good because it's a little bit brighter. But also there's sometimes things where we call position light, which also lights up while you're cruising as well. So those are the things that we always consider. Uh,
Mhm.
Another thing would be even the meter panel. Also, we must ensure not only to be fashionable, but it's really easily visible for the rider as well.
Okay, so you're not looking down, and okay,
Yeah. So
okay,
those are the things that we really have hard discussion internally because sometimes designer will come up with something that focuses only on design,
hmm
and it's really up to us, much more closer to the market, to give them a feedback what's best for the customer.
Trivia.
okay. Well,
Did you know that Yamaha was the first local manufacturer that offered ABS on their scooter, on their automatic?
really?
That was a real game changer because everybody followed. Hopefully, we will see ABS on a lot of lower displacement motorcycles that consumer buys.
That I always thought they were just on the bigger bikes. Actually, one
Yeah,
of the
but now,
scariest things I ever did was try to use ABS on a motorcycle because it's so counterintuitive. you try not to brake hard, and all of a sudden you have to brake hard to the sand. That was one of the scariest things I've ever done, and it works.
Yes, I wouldn't ride anything now without ABS.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you completely. So if you were the first one to do that, then thank you very much for doing that.
Also, another things we focus on is the handling, because when we talk about safety, a rider being able to control the bike with confidence is also another important factor.
Yes.
So not only turning, sometimes when people make a right turn, we try to make sure the handlebar do not touch any of the body and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And handling has always been important element that we focused on. I think if you're a MotoGP fan, also you can tell that we better focus on the handling side so we can maneuver the curve easily. Yeah, so that sort of DNA is also applied in the other product as well.
Mm-hmm. So if my old bikes were an RZ350 and an FZR 400 and things like that, what should I look for in your product line now? And this is a very dangerous question.
But were you using that more for like riding on a circuit and so on?
No, well, I didn't do any circuit riding. The RZ was in the US, and I was riding it to school. But I also rode it on the weekends out on long trips, which was fine. The FZR was in the Philippines. It was just kind of a play bike, but I can't do the low down race bike thing anymore. So, you were suggesting something to me, Maynard, a 600.
I think you should try the MP07.
That's it, the MP07. Okay.
Comfortable bike. You can use it every day. But you can still have fun on the racetrack if you want, or on the mountain roads.
So that's more of a standard, more upright bike.
Yeah, like the RZ350 that you had,
okay,
or the XSR 700. That's a good bike also.
I shouldn't do this. I'll be in so much trouble if I do this.
But nowadays, what's good is also there's a pre-programmed mapping inside for both of those bikes, so you can put it into extreme mode or you can put it in moderate mode, which makes it easier for you to ride. Yeah.
What does that adjust? That adjusts the engine mapping?
Yeah, the throttle response.
Yeah. Engine mapping, which is pre-programmed. So there's like a mode A, mode B, and mode. I forgot whether they call it mode C, but there's the standard one, or moderate one, and or a peaky.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're smoothing out the torque curve then. So
exactly.
You're not getting sudden bursts.
We sometimes call it the ring mode.
So, okay. So we got to look at the MT07. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to say, Hiro-san? Is there anything you would like to tell us about what you're doing next? Or about what you think is exciting coming up next year that you can tell us about?
Yeah, it's what's always difficult is the product side, because nowadays what we're working on is try to introduce a similar product in different regions, which means that release of such information do not only affect the Philippines, but it also affects the others. So, of course, there's some exciting new product within the pipeline. There are some of the new design, new version of the current model that we were planning to introduce this year, but because of the COVID situation, this had to be postponed next year. And but what I can say is it's something that's really uniquely designed only for Filipino market. So that's what's coming up next year.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Well, thank you very, very much, Hiro-san. We have
thank you so much.
Bike talk with the president of Yamaha Motors Philippines, and he's been very eloquent in his explanations to us about what Yamaha has gone through, how they're protecting their people, how they are protecting their consumers, and what they plan for next year. We've discussed the MT07 as something I should get my butt on and try. We got to talk to Paulo and see what we're going to stick him on, because he has no experience whatsoever. It's very clear that we're Yamaha fans with this group, at least. So thank you very much, Hiro-san. We very much appreciate your time. We look forward to doing more soon, on the road, off the road, and online. For this group, it has been me. I'm Carl. We have had Maynard, we have had Paulo, we have had Telly, and we have had our very, very special guest, Hiroshi Koike from Yamaha Motors. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, sir.